Professor of American Studies and International Politics at the University of Birmingham. Professor, thank you very much for joining us today. So much to talk about as a result of that news conference and the allegations surrounding the president-elect. First of all, these allegations, these apparent tapes relating to allegations of sexual misconduct and financial misconduct, do you think that these tapes actually exist?
Yes, I do. Now, what they actually show Trump doing, we have to wait and find out from the investigation. But as early as last summer, there were reports circulating that the Russians did have tapes. The head of an Eastern European intelligence agency let that be known, and eventually the BBC's Paul Wood has reported it. In Washington, there was talk of such tapes. Now, what has happened since last summer is, of course, the collection of this dossier. And this dossier, which was done by a private London-based firm, but was carried out by a former British MI6 officer who's held in high regard, it set out details of the tapes, not only in Moscow, but in St. Petersburg, on multiple occasions, and with multiple sources. Whether or not the sources are telling the truth, we wait to see, but these allegations are being treated as credible by the U.S. intelligence community.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have ended up on President Obama's desk, I presume.
Absolutely. Not only on President Obama's desk, but Mr. Trump was informed about this last week, as were 8 top congressional leaders, including the leaders of the Foreign Relations Committee.
But beyond these allegations from, albeit multiple sources, there is as yet no proof, no other proof that these tapes exist, is there?
Well, we've gotten corroboration overnight that they could exist. As I mentioned earlier, the report from Paul Wood of the BBC, which he got through a former British intelligence officer who was quoting an Eastern European head of intelligence, that is separate from the dossier we're talking about. So this is an additional claim that the Russians have tapes. In addition, beyond the question of the tapes, we now know that the secret court in the United States, which handles top secret international matters of intelligence, has put out warrants for an investigation of 2 Russian banks, and the target of that is to see if they are connected with Donald Trump. This was a past investigation. We don't know yet if it is still ongoing.
Just a few days out now from his inauguration as U.S. president, what sort of due diligence is being done in U.S. politics by Republican politicians as well as others to examine these allegations? And could it affect events? Could it actually make any difference to what happens next to Donald Trump?
Oh, it absolutely could make a difference. But what we're having is a battle over due diligence under this misleading guise of fake news. In other words, the U.S. intelligence community is carrying out due diligence by checking out the latest claims, as they did over the claims of Russian hacking, which they found to be verified. What happened in both cases is that Donald Trump accused the U.S. intelligence community of working against him, of being inept, even linked them or called them Nazis. Now, in the first case, Russian hacking, Trump gave way yesterday. He said he admitted, yes, the Russians did probably hack the election. But at the same time, he threw out this illusion of fake news, basically to try to intimidate or push back the intelligence community from carrying out what is a necessary investigation.
But he may be just briefly trying to push back the intelligence community, but sure. Can he push back critics from within politics, including his own party, the Republican Party?
I think you've put the finger on the key difference here, and that is it's not just the intelligence community, it's leading senators like John McCain, the former presidential candidate, who handed the latest dossier to the FBI for investigation. I expect McCain, Senator Lindsey Graham, and Marco Rubio, who gave the Secretary of State nominee Rex Tillerson a tough time yesterday, they're not going to go along with Trump and push this to the side.
Okay, Professor Scott Lucas from the University of Birmingham, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.